If you've ever asked a question and realized halfway through that you were more interested in the question than the answer, you already know this isn't just curiosity. It's what psychology calls need for cognition, and it shows up in almost everyone who thinks this way.
Point 1. They ask more questions than they answer. You'll notice it in conversation. They're the ones still asking, "But why?" after everyone else has moved on. This comes from something researchers call need for cognition, a measurable appetite for effortful thinking, not for showing off, but because the thinking itself feels rewarding. High IQ people don't tolerate ambiguity by ignoring it. They tolerate it by digging into it. It can make them seem like they never let anything go, because they don't. Understanding something halfway isn't satisfying to them. It's uncomfortable.
Point 2. They read like it's a hunger, not an image. They're not reading to be seen reading. They're reading because not knowing something feels like an itch they can't leave alone. This is less about discipline and more about how novel information is processed. New ideas activate the same reward circuitry that other people get from checking their phone. For a highly curious mind, a good book is doing the same job a notification does for everyone else. It's why they'll disappear into a topic for hours and come out the other side having barely noticed the time pass. Point 3. They say, "I don't know," without embarrassment. Ask them something outside their depth, and they'll say so immediately. No deflecting, no fake confidence. This is intellectual humility in action. Genuine expertise comes with a much clearer sense of where your own knowledge actually ends. Ironically, it's often the people who know the least about a subject who feel the most certain about it. Saying, "I don't know," isn't a gap for them. It's just an accurate report. And it's usually followed by, "But I'd like to find out." Point 4. They protect long blocks of uninterrupted focus. They'll disappear for an hour, phone face down, and get irritated if you interrupt them mid-thought. This isn't preference, it's mechanics. Working memory capacity is one of the strongest known correlates of fluid intelligence, and working memory gets wrecked by task switching. Every notification, every quick question costs them more than it costs someone else, because they were holding more in their head to begin with. Protecting that focus isn't precious behavior. It's the only way the kind of thinking they do is actually possible. Point 5. They spend more time alone than most people find comfortable. They don't need constant company, and they've stopped apologizing for it. Deep, effortful thinking takes bandwidth that social interaction competes directly with. You genuinely cannot do both at full capacity at the same time. So solitude isn't antisocial for them. It's when the actual processing gets done, quietly, in the background, long after everyone else has moved on to the next thing. It can look like distance. What it usually is a mind that's still working on something nobody else can see yet. Point 6. They keep circling back to things they thought they already understood. They'll revisit an idea they finished months ago and realize they understood it wrong or only halfway. This isn't indecision. It's how real understanding actually deepens. Every time you re-encounter an idea from a different angle, you're strengthening and correcting the mental model, not starting over. The people who never circle back usually aren't more certain, they just stopped checking. And that's the part worth sitting with. The willingness to be wrong about something you already thought you'd settled is usually the clearest sign that a mind is still growing. Every one of these habits comes from the same root, a mind that treats "I understand this" as a hypothesis, not a conclusion. That's not restlessness. That's just what thinking seriously actually looks like from the outside. If any of this sounded like you, you're probably not looking for more answers. You're looking for better questions, and that's exactly the habit that got you this far.